Well, all right, people. So I made a video last night about all of these riots going on across America and just how depressing it is to see this happen. And I'm making another video tonight because this is, or today, because this is a very important issue, I believe. I mean, this is an issue that's at our forefront of our society right now. And seeing people going out and burn cities, it's not a good thing, obviously. And seeing people in the media, seeing prominent people really not even condemn this is even more disgusting. Like I'm watching all these interviews with people on CNN and MSNBC, Kamala Harris, Don Lemon, um, Van Jones. And they're like, well, these people are just angry because of systemic racism. No. What everybody needs to do right now that's in a prominent position is condemn violence, condemn rioting. Rioting is never okay. All right? It's never okay to go out and burn down somebody's business. And to say that, well, these people are just angry because of systemic racism. No, you never say that when people riot. You don't reason with these people. You arrest them and you put a stop to this madness. When somebody goes out and commits a crime, when a white supremacist goes out and commits a crime, you don't say, well, let's try to understand the white supremacist. No, you arrest him, you put him in jail, and you condemn his actions. You don't try to reason with him. I mean, this is sickening. All the people that are defending this saying, well, there's racism widespread in America when that's not even true. The person that spurred this, there's no evidence that it was even racist yet. It may not be. I mean, this is just sickening to see. And there has to be a call. There has to be a really a call to stop this, to condemn it from people all across the political and racial spectrum. I mean, this has to be condemned fully. I mean, it's sickening. And there needs to be a show of force. There needs to be however whatever you need to do to uphold the rule of law in these cities, whether it's bringing cops, whether it's bringing the National Guard or more. You have to uphold the rule of law and protect innocent people and protect businesses. That is what the government is supposed to do. They're not supposed to fuck around with all these extra programs, like social security and the welfare state and all that shit. No, they are supposed to protect people's rights, protect people's right to live, protect people's businesses. So the government, the police force, really need to show up in big force like they did last night in Minnesota and put an end to this madness, put an end to this anarchy. You can't let retards, you can't let rioters burn down police stations. You can't. I mean, that's terrible. I mean, some people need to get shot. Quite frankly, some of these thugs need to get shot. I mean, if you're endangering people's lives, if you're throwing bricks at police officers, if you're burning buildings down, you are putting people's lives at risk, and you therefore forfeit your own right to live. I'm actually, this whole thing is about police brutality against black people. I'm very surprised that the cops haven't shot anybody yet. All these people are throwing shit at cops and they're not even doing anything about it, which totally dispels this idea of police brutality. In my opinion, they're not being brutal enough. I mean, you really have to start upping the measures and send a message to these people who think they could get away with rioting and looting and burning down businesses. I mean, this is sick. And it's 3 o'clock right now where I live, Eastern time. So I'm sure we'll see another round of rioting tonight. And we have to see in every major city what we saw in Minnesota last night, where they showed up in force with the National Guard and they put an end to this madness. We have to see that everywhere. We cannot stand by and let these people fuck up our cities. And by the way, the people who are most affected by this, not that it matters, are other black people, which makes no, which is sad. The people that are most affected by this are poor people. Not that it matters. It's not good if you burn down a black business or a white business. It's equally bad. So it's just really depressing to see. Um, And I really got to get away from all these people that are condemned. I mean, I can't believe the level of people that are excusing this behavior. I cannot believe the amount of people that are actually condoning. I mean, it's violence, rioting, looting, burning, racism. It's all wrong, and I condemn it on all sides of the spectrum. I always condemn it, and everybody should. But to see so many people that are defending this, to see celebrities like Steve Carell, to see celebrities like Seth Rogen come out and say that they're going to bail out rioters and looters who were arrested is so sickening. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, are you kidding me? Why are you giving your money to bail out criminals who are burning down cities, hurting people's livelihoods? Why can't we live at peace? I mean, exactly. Apparently, there's a bunch of retards in the world right now who think that burning down a city is a good thing. That burning down minority communities is a good thing. I don't know. You can't even reason or argue with these people because they're so fucked up in the mind. It's ridiculous. Like you just have to ignore them. What watch reasonable people on the news who actually condemn this shit. But you can't reason with these people. Like there's no point in even arguing with people who are saying shit like, well, these people are just angry. They're angry at the system. So in blaming white people for these actions, just blaming everybody else, saying, well, if we have paid attention to these people, they wouldn't have burned down the cities. There's still police brutality going. Yeah, I mean, I think police brutality is an issue. I mean, everybody does that, and I was glad that when this George Floyd thing happened, that pretty much everybody on every side of the political spectrum came out and condemned it. There's always going to be police brutality. I'm sorry, there is. I mean, there's always going to be bad cops. This isn't a utopia. Nothing is a utopia. Nothing's perfect. So there's always going to be bad cops. So I am glad that this guy got arrested. I'm glad we live in a system where cops aren't getting away with this shit. So police brutality is going on. It's always going to go on. I'm sorry, it just is. There's always going to be bad things happening in America. There's going to be murders. There's going to be suicides. It, it's just the question is it widespread? Is it no? And it's not. It's not widespread. And even if it was, what is burning down a city going to do? Nothing. But the whole issue of police brutality, and it happens to white people, it happens to all people. So to turn this into a racial issue when it's not, again, let me repeat this. There is no evidence that George Floyd was killed because he was black. He might have been, the cop might have been a racist. Who knows? We have to wait till the investigation comes out. But you can't say that, oh, that's racist because a white person did something to a black person. No, you have to wait till all the facts come out on the situation. Um, and again, there's always going to be bad cops out there, but the question um, is police brutality a widespread problem? Are black people being gunned down in the streets by police on a daily basis? And if you look at the stats, the answer to that question is no. There are very few black people every year that are killed by police officers unjustifiably. Very few. However, if you look at the amount of black people who are killed via homicide by other black people, that number is in the many thousands. You really don't hear anything about that. So if black lives really mattered, why aren't you hearing about the thousands of black people who are killed by other black people? I mean, it's terrible, but you never hear anything about that because that's not a story that's going to contribute to this whole theory of racism in America. Floyd didn't even fight. Somebody, I'm reading the comments here. Floyd didn't even fight back. Yeah, he didn't fight back. Terrible. It was a terrible uh, situation, and the cop shouldn't have done that. I mean, I'm glad that pretty much every American is in agreement that this whole George Floyd killing was terrible. It was bad. It should never have happened. The cop should not have put his knee on the person's neck. But we're beyond that now. We have condemned it. The justice is being done to the officer who did it. He's been arrested. He's been charged with murder, and the justice system is playing out. You can't fucking convict somebody in a day of murder. We have a judicial system in America that gives people a fair trial with a jury, and I'm glad we have that in America. So you have to let the system play out. That's how the justice system in America works, and it's probably the best one in the world. Um, I mean, obviously, police that instance was wrong, but to say, but to pick to nitpick an instance of a white person doing something bad to a white cop doing something bad to a black person, and to portray that out on the many people in the media now are portraying it out like, oh, this is a widespread problem. No, it's an isolated incident. But we just ignore the thousands of people who are black people that are killed by other black people, and it's sad. That's the real epidemic to the black community that nobody likes to talk about. So let's see what happens tonight. Hopefully it's not as bad. Hopefully we see some uh, a lot more police presence in some of these cities, because we can't let people burn down cities. I mean, and I'm just appalled by the amount of people that are not condemning it. I mean, everybody right now. I mean, this is the biggest thing happening in our country right now. So if you are in a prominent position, I mean, I think it's your responsibility to condemn this, especially if you're talking about the issue. I see a lot of people talking about the issue and saying how wrong it was for George Floyd to be murdered, and I agree. Everybody agrees. But at the same time, you have to condemn these riots. And they are riots, by the way. Stop calling them protests. These are not protests. These are riots. This isn't just one person out of a crowd of many thousands of protesters being unruly. These are many people that are being unruly, that are causing violence, that are burning down buildings. So don't call it. These are not protests anymore. These are riots. And even if you are well intentioned and want to peacefully protest right now, probably not a good idea to go to the cities and protest tonight, because you know there's going to be violence there. So even to the peaceful protesters, I really don't have any sympathy for, by the way. If I want to peacefully protest an issue, say any issue, and I know that there's a high probability of there being violence at that protest, I am not going to go. I'm not. So you shouldn't go if you want to peacefully protest. Don't be an idiot. Stay at home. So these are riots. These are riots, and they need to be stopped. It needs to be stopped. I'm reading the comments here. There was I don't know what that is. It was broken in until everything was gone. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of looting going on. Apparently, stealing televisions, burning down buildings is somehow doing justice when it's really not. It's just being a criminal, and these people need to be condemned. They don't need to be bailed out of jail. They need to be condemned. They need to be arrested, and they need to be locked up for a long time, not just overnight, a long time. And shit needs to be done tonight to show to these rioters that they're not going to be able to get away with this and hurt innocent people. This is sickening, and we need imminent action by our elected officials now. Um, and for the people saying that property is, well, it's just property. You know, it could be replaced. These are people that you just can't argue with. There's a reason why we have laws that you can't destroy property in this country. Can you imagine what it would be like if it was legal to destroy property and there was no repercussions for that? You idiots! Like I just can't believe that. I mean, I can't believe people are saying that. Well, property can be replaced, but lives can't. Oh, you idiots. A lot of times property can't be replaced, and you don't have the right to burn down somebody else's property, because we live in America. We don't live in a third world country. We live in America, where there should be law and order. I mean, there isn't much of it now, but there should be law and order. So um, I'm just very angry right now at not only the rioters, but the people that are not condemning the rioters. And they are rioters, and it's time we call them rioters, not protesters. Because, like I said, if you want to peacefully protest right now, you're not going to go to a major city. unless you're an idiot. So I've had enough of this shit. I'm gonna try to just ignore the people that are condoning this shit and saying it's okay and blaming other people for other people's violent actions. Sooner or later, this will transform into a third world country, says a commenter. No, I mean, these are terrible things. I mean, I think we'll get through these. I mean, we've gone through a lot of things as a country, a lot of bad things. The LA riots, the Ferguson riots. So, I mean, I think these will end. Um, and there are bad things in our country. I mean, obviously, but at the end of the day, we do have a good country, and I'm glad that we are finally adding some police presence to these cities to end these riots. So I mean, we'll get through this. There's no doubt about it. But right now, it's just a very depressing situation to see cities being burned down. Um, I mean, no country lasts forever, right? But I don't think this is going to be the downfall of America here. I think we'll see probably a little bit more rioting, but it'll probably curb, like all riots do. The Ferguson riots lasted for like what 6 days. The LA riots lasted for, I mean, the LA riots lasted for like 5 or 6 days. They don't last forever. They'll eventually end, but it would really help if we had people being arrested, people using a lot of force against these people, because these people have no right to life if you endanger other people's lives. So there you go, people. I am so sick of seeing this on television and not see people getting. I wish people were as upset with these rioters as they were with the people protesting the lockdown. Apparently coronavirus has disappeared. All you heard about was these gatherings of people that, oh, they might spread coronavirus. Oh my gosh. Oh, holy shit. All you that's all you heard about these last few weeks, and how bad these protesters were that were peacefully protesting, that wanted to have their businesses reopened and wanted their freedoms back. But apparently, these groups of people gathering in thousands and thousands, by the thousands and thousands, well, we'll just ignore that. We won't even talk about that anymore because coronavirus doesn't matter. So there you go, people. Hopefully, some of these people get what they deserve, because they don't deserve shit. They deserve to be stopped, arrested, and put in jail for a long time. And if some of them get shot while they are looting businesses, while they are setting shit on fire, and while they are hurting other people, possibly killing other people, then it is what it is. But this shit needs to be stopped, and it needs to be stopped now. We cannot let anarchy reign. We cannot let law breaking reign throughout our country. Am I a racist? What kind of question is that? No, I'm not a racist. I am advocating for a stopping to these riots by whatever means necessary. I mean, I think that would make me the opposite of a racist. I mean, if you're really for these riots, then you're really for the burning of communities that are disproportionately black, by the way. So that makes no sense to me whatsoever. When it comes down to it, the people that are going to be most affected by this are the people that live in those communities, and the people that live in those communities are mostly are a higher percentage of the population of black people than the average American population. So no, I am not what the fuck kind of question is that? Am I racist? The idea that I want to stop riots by whatever means necessary and protect innocent people. I really don't get what you're getting at, Marcel. That's pretty pretty weird to me that you would ask that question. Um, but that word racist is just thrown around like fucking candy now. Everybody's racist, right? Systemic racism. You're racist. Everybody's racist. Millions of racists in America right now. But when it comes down to it, there are very few white supremacists in America. There are very few racists in America. Like I said, we live in a country of 330 million people. So you're always going to have some bad apples out there. No country is perfect. There's never been a utopia, and there never will be. But to take individual acts of racism, or to take individual bad acts by police officers and just put that on television and play it all day and act like that represents the majority of people is totally wrong. And it's discrimination, by the way. If you take the one instance of this police officer doing something bad to George Floyd and you say fuck all police, you're discriminating against police officers, just like you don't take the actions of a black person who does something bad and say, well, all black people suck. That's racist. So you cannot take uh, you cannot take anecdotal evidence of police officers doing bad things and use that to represent this idea that all cops or most cops are bad, because they're not. And I really want to thank the cops out there right now that are doing whatever they can to protect our cities and to protect innocent people. And then you get idiots that accuse you or ask you of being a racist because you want to protect innocent people's lives and you want to uphold the rule of law, and you don't want a bunch of hooligans running around cities burning shit down, putting people's lives at risk, ruining people's livelihoods. See, that's the shit that I'm tired of and I want to get away from. Is morons that are actually supporting this shit. And it's just saddening to see, and it's depressing to see how many people are not condemning this shit and think it's okay or think it's a result of white supremacy or blaming Trump for it. And it needs to stop right now. I mean, there needs to be a show of force in the cities that are that are going to show people that they're not going to be able to get away with rioting and looting and all this shit. So hopefully this calms down. You cannot reason with people that riot. I saw Don Lemon on CNN yesterday saying, well, elected officials need to tell these people to calm down. Trump needs to tell people to calm down. No, you have to arrest these people and put them in prison. That's the only way you stop these people. You think that if is going to tell these people to calm down, that they're just going to go home? These people hate Trump. They're not going to do that, you idiot. You have to show force. That's the only way to stop this right now. And the media and many prominent people are not helping by stoking the flames of racism in calling things racist that just aren't racist, and by really taking um, isolated events and portraying them like they're widespread problems. So I think that's enough. That's all I got to say about that. Maybe I'll do another video later tonight, depending on what happens tonight. But I just think we have to denounce this as a society. The way to solve this is to really, everybody has to denounce rioting of all kinds, including this. And secondly, we have to show force in our cities by whatever we got to do to uphold the rule of law. That's how you stop this. So there you go, people.